Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, April 16th. So welcome to the full moon day. We have a full moon in Libra peaking around 2:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a pretty big day. I'm going to recommend that you take a listen to the full moon in Libra astro forecast that I've put out. And I'm also going to recommend that you download your moon guide, do the work, get aligned. Definitely put yourself in a position where we are moving forward with the energy. So the full moon in Libra is going to go void of course shortly after it peaks in its direct energy. It will be going void of course around 6 p.m. and will be locking into Scorpio energy around 8:24 p.m. Again, Eastern Standard Time. So here's the thing. Anytime we move out of the Libran energy into the Scorpio energy, it gets heavy, it gets weighted, it gets a little bit dark, mostly because we have that air energy from Libra that likes to stay in the shadow or the shallow end, I guess, of the shadow realm. We don't really want to do a deep dive. We want to stay in our heads. We want to keep things light and fluffy. Of course, this full moon energy is an intensity building towards illuminating where it is we've been living in extremes, where it is that we need to kind of rebalance the scales between our own wants, needs, and desires and the wants, needs, and desires of the partnership, the team, the group. There is a lot of realizations that happen when we have the moon in Libra, let alone a full moon in Libra. But then we dive into the emotional waters of Scorpio. That's when we do the deep dive into the darkness, when we kind of go down to the depths of the bottom of our emotional and psyche field in order to actually kind of unearth a couple of things. And where we're still in the full moon energy, we are going to bring a huge illumination to some of the inner workings of our heart space, of our head space, in order to truly transform. That's what that Scorpio energy is all about. We want to transform. And under the full moon in Libra, we're going to get this huge realization on the areas of our life that need the transformation the most. Mostly where it is that we've been living in extremes and where it is that we have to balance the scales. So we have 10 different aspects taking place here today. 10 of them involve this moon. It is definitely going to be a highly emotional time. We're going to have highs and lows, ebbs and flows that we're going to have to go with the flow with. The moon, while still in Libran energy, again, we have to build towards the full moon. The moon bumps into the true node in not the nicest way. This is definitely putting us in a situation where we're examining our physical realm, our current circumstances, and we're a little bit unsure about how it is that we're going to move forward, how it is that we are going to balance the scales in our lives, where it is that we've been living in extreme. The moon trines Saturn, no, and this is a good indication that although we do have to sit in chaos, we do have to kind of sit in a little bit of an uncertain state, we are going to boss up. We're going to realize where new cycles are beginning, where it is that the dreams, the prayers that we are hoping to manifest and hoping to receive require us to be a different version of ourselves. Many of us are hoping and praying for a reality that if we could snap our fingers and have that reality right now, we would not be the version of ourselves that would be able to handle that kind of reality. So this particular aspect is illuminating for us where it is that we got to boss up, where it is we got to make the changes within ourselves, within our circumstances, in order to actually create a foundation within ourselves and within our current reality to actually start bringing the elements, the pieces of our dreams, of our prayers into our physical realm. Now, the moon in Libra is going to bump into both Neptune and Neptune and Jupiter. And of course, both of them in Piscean energy, both of them sitting still very close to one another after that great conjunction we had just this past week. And this particular energy is also not the nicest interaction that we could have. What we are being illuminated to is where it is that we have to balance the scales between our dreams, our visions, our illusions, let's say, and our current reality, our current circumstances. It's very much a balance between our egoic selves, relying on the logical, practical perspective of our current circumstances in our physical realms, and our higher selves, our soul selves, our intuition, our dreams. Many of us have been leaning too far into one aspect of ourselves or the other. Many of us are either so stuck in our physical realms and stuck in our egoic identity that we can't see the forest past the trees, or we've been in la la land, really in the higher realms of dreams and intuition and higher self, and kind of delusional, if you will, on how it is that we're supposed to bring those elements into our physical realm. So this is going to be a little bit of a tension point. The tension point, the inner conflict is needed in order for us to find that grounding point in between the two realms that we're currently living in. And of course, because the moon is in Libra, because this is a full moon in Libra, our efforts to balance our lives out is very much needed. 2:56 p.m. This is when the moon sits across from, opposes the sun. This is what gives us our full moon energy. And this is a huge illumination where it is that we've been advocating for ourselves, pushing forward, wanting to initiate a new path, taking the lead on new experiences, and where it is that maybe we have to slow down and consider who it is that we are taking into these new experiences with us. Many of us have been on an individual solo journey because of the Aryan energy. And now we have to take a time out to kind of reflect over our efforts and see where it is that maybe we've been putting too much of ourselves ahead of the other people in our realms. Again, the solo journey is very important, but we do need connection, partnerships, community in order to see the whole vision actually come through. So again, please listen to the astro forecast, please download your moon guide and really dive into all the different aspects that this full moon in Libra is offering us. The moon is going to bump into Venus. Venus, of course, rules over this Libran energy. Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and worth and pleasure and joy in Piscean energy, just in love with love, but also recognizing where connections, where relationships, where self-worth issues need to end in order to prepare us for this new emotional beginning. The moon goes ahead and squares Pluto. This square is a conflict point, a tension point with Pluto, the great transformer, in order to pressurize us into change. If we were comfortable all the time, if we didn't have an applied pressure coming in from the situations in our current circumstances, many of us would never change. We only change when we're in pain, when we're tired of suffering, when we're tired of being uncomfortable, when we can't take anymore. And the full moon in Libra is illuminating for us where it is that these extremes have reached a boiling point, where it is that we don't want to continue these particular situations anymore. And this Plutonian energy wants us to boss up, to take control, to stand in our power and actually make the transformations that are needed in order for us, again, to bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. At this particular point, the moon is going to go void of course. And just keep in mind that when the moon is void of course, we get a little bit shaky, we get uncertain, we have emotional outbursts, we don't want to make decisions, we don't want to commit to anything. We have about 3, almost 4 hours of this unstable energy, really kind of swirling up, triggering, activating the chaos, the emotional and mental chaos that many of us have to go through in order to gain clarity. At 8:36, we are going to have our very first aspect with the moon now in Scorpio. The moon in Scorpio is going to bump into Neptune and Jupiter, both in Pisces energy. Pisces and Scorpio are sister water signs. This is a good energy. This is a blending of energy. Suddenly, the moon in Scorpio, that's all about looking at the dark and turning it into the light, looking at the pain and turning it into power, deeply, deeply rooted in the transformation that we need to make, first in our psyche, second in our heart space, before we could ever make any changes in our physical realm. Bumping into Neptune and Jupiter in Piscean energy, this is about growth. We just had this huge conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter just this past week. This is about growing through what it is that we're going through. This is about expanding our heart space, our head space, our perspective, our understanding. This is about really bringing in the element of our dreams and visions into our physical realm, getting in alignment, heart and head, before we can actually take action on it. The moon in Scorpio is going to trine Mars. Mars actually is a co-ruler of Scorpio energy. Pluto and Mars both rule over Scorpio energy. Mars is now in Piscean energy. Again, if you haven't listened to that astro forecast, please go take a listen to that so that you can understand what the next couple of weeks are going to bring for us. The moon in Scorpio trining with Mars in Pisces does suggest that we are receiving huge intuitive insight, huge spiritual understanding. We are going to be triggered and activated in our soul space, understanding the path forward. Now, again, we do not gain the full picture at one time. We get little puzzle pieces. And because the full moon in Libra is still in effect and will be for the next couple of days, we have to balance out our intuitive insight, our gut feelings, our soul space with our egoic realm, the logical, practical perspective and understanding of our physical circumstances. So all in all, it's going to be a very large day. Again, please lean all the way into whatever thoughts and emotions are coming up in order for you to find a solid, grounded middle point.